comment from these boys admitting that they had committed a moral crime against Natalie, and that letter was sent to justice officials in the United States. And he used that as a way to disprove the videotape. What are your comments on that, Jossy?
Oh, he's wrong again, and he's dead wrong with that. I spoke to Karen Janssen today, and she was very explicit in telling me that her words were taken out of context. They were. Because this letter was sent in a treaty that we have with the U.S., Aruba and the U.S.,
right.
What we call a rechtshulp. In other words, asking for assistance in an investigation.
Right.
What she did was send that letter for that purpose. Not for the purpose of and she says in this, there is no indication. She doesn't say there is no evidence or no proof. She was very careful in her words to the Department of Justice here in the U.S. And I will quote Karen Janssen on the 30th of June 2005 in a NOVA program in Holland, in which she accused Paul van der Sloot, the father of Joran, of presenting obstacles in the case, of obstruction of justice. She says it's very plain in that interview 3 or 4 times.
When you look at this case, and I know you and I have discussed this before, but a question that keeps coming up, and in fact I'm looking at the picture here right now on my computer screen, was the alleged picture of a person in the casino with Natalie that looks an awful lot like Paulus. Now, you've seen the picture, I've seen the picture. Has there been any updates as far as that?
There hasn't been any update, but there hasn't been any change of opinions either. The opinions that we've pulled everywhere, including people that work in the casino, say that is Paulus on the slope. I'm talking about opinions now of the people.
Right. Do you know in the investigation, Jossy, whether or not the employees that night at Carlos and Charlie's have been thoroughly investigated as far as any sort of criminal convictions or history, or someone in that bar that maybe knows something that just hasn't come forward yet to talk about it?
No, I'm not aware of any of that. What I do know and what I do tell you now is that we are talking to some of the witnesses in this case, some of the people that have been interrogated by the police. With the passage of time, they're not as afraid anymore to talk. And I think that we're going to get some of the answers that we're looking for from these interviews with these people.
One of my emailers, I think, says it very well when he says he's getting tired of hearing these boys called suspects when, in theory, they are murder suspects. And it's, it's sad, but it's assumed that Natalie has perished. And I'm wondering, with your position, and again, this has come out since the videotape or parts of the videotape has been released, and you're reporting from a reporter's standpoint, and you're speaking with Karen Janssen today, there is a deadline that is coming up. Do you see, and I know I asked you this question last time, but I'll ask you this again, do you see this case going to trial before the period is up as far as them being considered suspects?
I am sure, I'm convinced that I can affirm it very publicly that the case will go to court, contrary to Tacopina's, again, very wrong opinion. It will go to court. It will be treated in court. It has to.
Now, he again, getting back to the forged document, information that Tacopina says was passed on to him. Let's talk a little bit about, and I don't want you to, this isn't where I'm asking you to defend your newspaper, but as a reporter for your newspaper, before you print something, is there a set of checks and balances that your people go through or you go through to confirm things before they are printed?
Of course we do. Check it with the people that are on the documents itself. Check it with the people who signed the document. For example, we also published one from Jan van der Straten, and it's signed by him, and we spoke to him, and he confirmed it. So we do confirm with our contacts within the police department or the prosecution department before we do any publishing of any sort.
When you spoke with Karen Janssen today, Did she give you any indication as far as the status of the investigation with the cold case investigators coming in and relooking at the evidence? Did she give you any hints? I know she's leaving in the next little while. What's the status of that, Jossy?
No, listen, Karen Jansen is a professional, much to the contrary of Tacopina. She will not speak about the case with me or with anybody at the DI or with anyone else under any circumstances. What she did tell me is that her term, her contract is over the 1st of February, and that she will be leaving soon afterward. And she did hint to me that this case is not going to be stopped. This case is going to court.
So she probably wouldn't comment then as far as Antonio Carlo paying her a visit.
No, she's never denied or affirmed that publicly. But to De Vries in Holland, she did confirm it.
What has Antonio Carlo been doing here these last few days with all this information coming forward?
I don't know, but I would imagine he feels very uncomfortable with the videotape that we have. Listen, that videotape is about 50 minutes long. What was shown on Fox was just a fraction of it. I mean, some seconds of it, 30 seconds to a minute, not more. We have 50 minutes of exchange of information between the chief investigator and myself. We spoke very openly and very frankly about the case. And he told me categorically that these boys admitted to having committed what he called a moral crime, what I call rape, because the girl was going in and out of consciousness all the time. And this fact is also in the documentations of Joran. When they interrogated Joran on the 9th of June 2005, he did repeat on various occasions that the girl was going in and out of consciousness.
Joe Tacopina himself mentioned that the investigation has been hindered because of lies and mistruths that his clients have told in this whole investigation. One statement says this, the other statement says that. The physical evidence that may or may not be there, the whole thing has been a mess right from the get-go. I've asked you this before, Jossy, and I'll ask you again. Is this just a case of sloppy investigation, or is this a case where higher-ups have become involved to take away the heat from the island?
We are convinced that the DI, not only I, but the reporters that I have working on this case, we are convinced that there is an influence that has come into the case from the beginning, from higher up. By higher up, I mean not necessarily only from Aruba. It could have come from Holland too. We are convinced it's there. We haven't been able yet to pinpoint it though.
Do you have plans, or has any media organization contacted you for you to air the complete tape of the interview with the chief?
No, they haven't, but I will send you the complete copy so you can put it on the internet. Yes, we're working on the translation of it and the interpretation of what is said in Papiamento on the tape.
All right, I'd be glad to help you with that. Jossy, it's always a pleasure to have you on the program. Final words for those that are listening as far as Mr. Tacopina's attack on you last night?
Well, I will repeat this. The provocations of Tacopina are falling on deaf ears here. We have one commitment, that is with ourselves, that is to investigate this case as journalists to the end. And we are going to get to the answers.
Thank you, Jossy. Oh, I got one quick question before I let you go. It just came in. It says... this past week, an Aruban court denied the Kelpo brothers' request to be cleared as suspects. Also, a Aruban prosecuting attorney, Karen Jansen, recently returned from Holland, where a new team of Dutch investigators is reviewing all the evidence against the Kelpos and others. Is there any information as far as what she was doing in Holland, Jossy?
Well, I think she went for some work at Holland. I don't know what kind of work. I don't know if it's related to this case. I would imagine she must have talked to someone of the Dutch team that are busy with this. But we don't know exactly what took her to Holland. No.
Okay. Jossy, it's always a pleasure having you on the program. We'll stay in touch, and I know everyone appreciates what you're doing to help get some answers in this case.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jossy. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.